Cancer is the dimmest and most inconspicuous zodiac constellation, but it hides incredible cosmic treasures. According to legend, this little crab sacrificed itself in battle with Heracles, helping the goddess Hera. As a reward, Hera raised it to the sky, but forever deprived it of bright, noticeable stars. But today, astronomers have found a stunning super-Earth here, consisting almost entirely of pure diamond.
Welcome. Today, we're undertaking an astrophysical analysis of the constellation Cancer. Now, when you look up at the night sky, you've probably scanned right past it. It's this faint little patch, kind of squeezed between its much brighter, much more famous neighbors. But we're going to see why this unassuming constellation is, for those in the know, a genuine treasure trove of cosmic wonders.
So here's how we'll proceed. We'll begin by exploring this paradox of it being a modest treasure. Then we'll cover its celestial geography, basically where to find it. From there, we'll do a deep dive into an astrophysical analysis of its most fascinating stars and stellar clusters. We'll also touch upon its historical and mythological context before we conclude with a lesson it teaches every observer.
All right, let's start with this central puzzle. You've got the brilliant stars of Gemini on one side and the majestic constellation of Leo on the other. And stuck right in between is Cancer, which holds the title for the dimmest constellation of the entire zodiac. You know, to the unaided eye, you might just miss it completely. But for astronomers, well, for us, it's an absolutely fascinating cosmic laboratory. In this quote, this really captured the essence of it. The true value of Cancer isn't in its superficial brightness, it's in the profound secrets it holds for anyone who is willing to look a little closer, a little deeper. So, let's do exactly that.
Okay, first things first. Before we can analyze it, we have to find it. Where in the vastness of the celestial sphere is Cancer located? Well, the good news is its position near the celestial equator makes it remarkably accessible from most locations on Earth. What this means is almost everyone on the planet gets a good view. The absolute best time to look for it is during the first few months of the year, January, February, and March. That's when it's highest in the night sky. The only time it's completely invisible is from late July to early August, because from our perspective, the sun is passing directly in front of it.
All right, let's magnify our view. We've established the constellation as a whole. Now it's time to get into the really compelling material, the individual stellar systems. Cancer may not have any first-magnitude stars that grab your attention, but it is packed with some of the most unique stellar configurations in our galaxy.
Just look at the scale we're dealing with here. Let's start with Altarf, Cancer's brightest star. It's an orange giant. To put that in perspective, if you were to visualize our sun as a basketball, Altarf would be a sphere 50 times wider. It shines with the light of 660 suns. And orbiting this behemoth is a gas giant exoplanet with 8 times the mass of Jupiter. We are talking about a truly colossal system. Next, we have Acubans, which translates to the claw, and that name is remarkably precise. This isn't a single point of light. It's a quadruple star system. What you have are 2 binary stars, that's 2 pairs of stars, and each pair is gravitationally bound, orbiting a common center of mass in a complex celestial dance.
And if you thought a quadruple system was complex, let me introduce you to Tegman. Think of it as a set of cosmic Russian nesting dolls. First, you have a central pair of stars orbiting each other every 60 years or so. Then, a third star orbits that primary pair from a much greater distance. But, and this is the incredible part, when we resolve this with powerful instruments, we find that each of those 3 components is itself a binary star, making Tegman a stunning 5-star system.
Now we come to what is arguably Cancer's most renowned resident, 55 Cancri. The star itself is fairly sun-like, quite unremarkable. But the planetary system orbiting it, well, that is something else entirely. It's so extraordinary that it has become a primary target for exoplanetary science.
And this is where the science starts to sound like science fiction. One of its planets, 55 Cancri e, is a super-Earth. But based on its mass and radius, we deduce its density, which suggests it's not a silicate rocky world like ours. Instead, it's believed to be a carbon-rich world. Imagine this, a planet with a crust of graphite, dark and opaque, covering an interior that under immense pressure and heat is a mantle of pure crystalline diamond, a literal diamond planet.
Okay, let's pull our focus back out now, from individual stars to entire populations of them. Cancer is home to 2 magnificent open star clusters, and they serve as perfect, contrasting laboratories for studying stellar evolution. They're like cosmic time capsules. You see, these two clusters are perfect foils for one another. On one hand, you have M44, the famous beehive cluster. It's a stellar nursery, relatively speaking, filled with around 1,000 hot young stars only about 600 million years old. On the other hand, we have M67. This is a stellar retirement home. At about 4 billion years old, it's nearly the same age as our own sun, which makes it an invaluable laboratory for studying how sun-like stars evolve and age.
So, we've delved deep into the astrophysics, but what about the human story? How did our ancestors, without the aid of telescopes, interpret this faint smudge of stars? What meaning did they inscribe upon it?
I'm sure you've all heard of the Tropic of Cancer, but did you know why it has that name? 2,000 years ago, during the summer solstice, the day the sun reaches its highest point in the northern sky, the sun was positioned directly within the boundaries of the constellation Cancer. But here's the fascinating part. The Earth has a slow, 26,000-year wobble on its axis, called precession. Think of a spinning top just before it falls. Because of this wobble, that solstice point is now drifted into the neighboring constellation Taurus. The astronomical reality has changed, but the geographical name, the Tropic of Cancer, remains as a historical artifact.
And the Greek myth behind the constellation, well, it's a rather poignant tale of loyalty. As the hero Heracles battled the monstrous Hydra, the goddess Hera, his sworn enemy, sent a giant crab named Carcinos to distract him. The crab must have known it was a suicide mission, but it charged forward and latched onto the hero's heel. Heracles crushed it underfoot in an instant. Hera, witnessing this, was so moved by the small creature's selfless loyalty that she honored it with a place in the stars. But as a constant reminder of its humble and ultimately failed sacrifice, she gave it only faint stars.
So, after all of this analysis, what is the unifying theme? What is the ultimate lesson of the constellation Cancer? I think it is this: you cannot judge cosmic significance by apparent brightness. It's a lesson in looking closer. And if you want to find it for yourself, here is your guide. First, locate the bright twin stars of Gemini and the distinctive sickle shape of Leo. Scan the dark patch of sky right between them. You're looking for a very faint inverted Y shape, but the essential tool here is a simple pair of binoculars. Point them at the fuzzy smudge at the heart of that Y, and that misty patch will resolve into the brilliant, glittering sight of the hundreds of stars in the beehive cluster. It's a spectacular view.
Ultimately, Cancer is a perfect metaphor for the scientific endeavor itself. It reminds us that some of the universe's most profound secrets, diamond planets, five-star systems, ancient stellar relics, are often hidden in plain sight. They lie behind a veil of modesty, rewarding not the casual glance, but only the patient, the curious, and the meticulous observer.
Which of course leads to a final, thought-provoking question. If a dim, often ignored patch of the sky can hold such wonders, what other treasures lie waiting for us in the most inconspicuous corners of the cosmos, waiting only for our attention?
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.